What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia Averill.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with real estate broker Tiana Harrison. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we'll be discussing the Hall of Famer Ed Reed. But first, Tia, how's your weekend?
My weekend was good. We traveled.
What'd you do?
We traveled for basketball. You know, it's like prime AAU season. But we just went out to Portland, so it was good. They did all right. I tell you what, though.
All right.
These kids are looking older and older every time I go, okay?
Yes,
I'm like, lowkey,
I was
where's your
just
birth
having that
certificate?
conversation with a friend. Real talk. Middle school is tricky. It's one of those things where kids grow fast and stop, or they just slowly just teeter up. So you're going to see a whole gamut of men with muscles and beards and all kind of stuff. You're going to be like, what in the world?
That's exactly what I saw. And I'm like, my baby in 6th grade. Okay, so I'm not expecting to see men. But that is an interesting dynamic. But they're also, like, there's a lot of reclassifying going on too.
Yeah.
And so it's just been interesting to kind of see how this season has been playing out. But it was good though. How about you? How was your week?
That's awesome. Good. My brother was in town. He came and watched. He wanted to see me play his senior year. So yes, he came and cheered, and he was so proud. They both did really well, and so it was good. Just hanging with the fam and enjoying each other. Easy breezy.
Nice. Well, I know you're gonna throw it to high takes here in a second, but I want to remind the listeners. Our tickets are on sale now for the Super Bowl show. So make sure y'all click the link in our bio to go to our Eventbrite to buy tickets. And y'all, this one, this is our 4th year. This one definitely going to be our best one. It's going to be dope.
It is. We're about to turn up in Scottsdale. So y'all come join us at Neiman Marcus. It's going to be lit. All right. Enough about that, y'all. Let's get into this week's hot take. It's time for this week's hot take. Tia, what we got?
Okay, so this week in hot takes, we are talking Ed Reed and his very short stint as head coach for Bethune-Cookman, which is an HBCU down in Florida. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Ed is a Hall of Fame safety. Played, I want to say 11 or 12 years in the NFL. A few years after retiring, he was an assistant DB coach for the Bills. And that is really all of the experience in terms of coaching that I knew of. But in December, he was announced that he was going to be head coach of Bethune-Cookman College, right? And then, this is in the midst of, there was that drama with Dion going to another school, like leaving an HBCU, going to another school. And so I guess Ed reported last week to campus. And okay, so did you see his original IG Live rant, Atoya?
I only saw a snippet of it.
A snippet. Okay, so
I didn't watch the whole thing. I did not watch the whole thing.
Listen.
But I saw enough.
Listen, this man was in a car listening to gospel music, which there's an appreciation, right? But in the midst of it, he's essentially saying like, oh, Dion was right about HBCUs. And, the problem with HBCUs is the people running it, was his note, right? So, of course, he gets backlash. Then he hops back on to Instagram and went on a complete rant where he is talking about everything like demeaning Bethune-Cookman. Said that when he got to his office, he ended up having to clean out his own office. Also said that him and a football team had to go pick up trash. I'm assuming from the field or something of that nature. But either way, of course, the administration didn't like it. The people running the school did not like it. And so it was announced last week that they essentially rescinded his offer. Like they decided not to ratify his contract. And he again, well, I guess it wasn't him, but he spoke to his players, both the ones that recently committed and the existing players, and went on this passionate rant about how, Bethune don't want him anymore, that it's not him chooses not to be there. And of course, the social media fallout continues. Students are protesting at Bethune, the whole nine. But my question to you, Atoya, is, do you agree with Bethune not ratifying his contract?
No, I don't. I feel like Bethune I think the problem with not just Bethune, but a lot of HBCUs is they stunt their own growth. And sometimes you have to take constructive criticism and you have to realize that we do need to do better. This is something that we did lack in. This is something that we do need to address. And a lot of people are prideful and they're used to doing things their way and they don't want to change. And listen, if you want to grow, you want people to support you, you want people to recognize you, you have to be open to change as well. It works both ways. And so I understand what Ed said, as well as I understand like why Dion realized, okay, if I want to make a change, I have to go to a place that's going to allow me to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of the HBCUs, and I have family and friends that went to HBCUs, and it's a struggle bus sometimes.
But wait, did Dion say that they were giving him trouble at Jackson in terms of pushback for change and things of that nature?
I think that the problem lied is they did as much as they felt that they needed to do, and they weren't willing to do more. And not only that, some of the things that they promised Dion that they would do, they didn't follow through. And so, unfortunately, and the thing about Dion and Ed Reed is they know better. Right. So you're not getting coaches that are coming in here that are just willing to coach and willing to help the kids. Like they know better. They've seen better. They've experienced all levels. So they are coming in from an area of, okay, this needs to be fixed. This is not okay. This is not okay. And some people don't want to be here. They're like, what? We ain't trying to change. We ain't trying to do all that. And you asking for too much. Like, no, you want to be great. You want people to recognize you as great. You have to run an institution, even on the sports side, not just education wise, but even on the other side that shows greatness in all areas. So I agree with Ed. I know that he went a little OD, but his point and his message was clear. And that is, we got to do better.
Okay.
What about you? I know you're going to disagree. Go ahead, girl.
I'm going to disagree because So number one, I'm not familiar with, I know you said Dion would maybe express that there was some pushback with the change that he wanted to do. From my point of view, and granted, it's not like I was sitting in at Jackson or tuned into all of their news, but from my point of view, it appeared as if Jackson was okay with whatever changes that Dion was trying to make. And I think Dion leaving had more to do with Dion's personal goal. Like his personal goal was not to stay at an HBCU. Like he spent time there. He did great things at the school, but I don't think that was his ultimate goal. And so him leaving was like not a problem to me, right? Because he expressed that wasn't his goal. Now, I understand the notion of like people doing things a certain way and maybe not being aware of the other way to do things, right? You think Ed and Dion both went to huge schools, right, with large athletic programs and things of that nature. With that also comes with the abundance of resources and things of that nature, right? And so they do have a different mentality. And so when they take that mentality and try to just copy and paste it onto an HBCU experience, things are going to look different, right? It's not going to be the same, so they can't expect that same situation. But all in all, what pissed me off more than anything is, dude, if you had a problem with the school, like it appeared as if this was your first couple of days at the school, go hash it out with them. Like, go tell them, like, I shouldn't be coming here cleaning out my office. My team shouldn't have to go around cleaning up the campus or the field or things of that nature. Why did you have to take it to social media? One, and then why did you have to make it a personal attack? Right? Because this is a school. This is work.
Was that done after they let him go?
Nope, that was done before. Like his comment about the
second one was.
No. Yeah, well, so there was 3 videos that made their way to social media. The first one with him in the car was unprompted, girl. Like, so and he made the comment about the problem with HBCUs is the people running it. You can't do that. Like, I don't know what company or whatever that you can walk into and make criticize somebody in the lead like that and not have consequences, right? And if it was me, if I was like a part of the administrative staff or something like that, I wouldn't want to work with you. Dude, you've been here 2 weeks and you already talking about shit that I had going on before you got here. You know what I mean? Like you overstepping your boundaries. And that's how I feel about the whole situation. And I'm just like, but I want to say that I feel like people like Dion and Ed that have always had the propensity to say what was on their mind. And so he was just being himself. I get that. But you got to check yourself when you go into work for somebody else. And so even the students and stuff protesting, I'm not mad at them for doing that. But I'm really not mad at Bethune-Cookman for saying we don't want you here because you aren't contributing to the family aspect that's needed in this moment.
But
that's what I think.
Where's the lie? Where is the lie? He was 100% correct. And let me tell you something. There is no way on the problem is people running it. Well, I mean, if I come into an office that I'm supposed to have and it's dirty, Tia, you know how we are. Come on now.
That is true.
Walk into
could you not have a conversation? But could you not have a conversation and not take it to social media?
100% correct.
And that's all I'm saying.
Sometimes in order for things to change, you got to put people on blast.
No, but you got to get an opportunity to change first though, right? Like the first time that I'm hearing that it's a problem from you cannot be from social media. That's everybody's problem. Get the hell off social media.
Yeah, but
sometimes.
Do you think that that's really the first time? I don't know if that was the first time.
He probably cussed them out. He probably cussed them out when he did it.
I'm sure that was not the first time.
But he probably cussed them out when it happened. But I'm sure the conversation or the situation could have been handled in-house. So now if I'm the head athletic director, department, whatever, now you challenging like my authority, which it is ego. It's ego on both sides. But you have done this in front of the entire country at this point. You didn't even give me a chance to conflict, to do conflict resolution for this. So that is a problem to me.
Yeah, but I am. I'm a stickler. Like the little things. If I go in somebody's house and they bathroom ain't clean or the kitchen is nasty, we ain't talking. Ain't nothing to. That's you. That's just you. Okay, I'm out. Like I feel it. Like that's not okay. It's the little things. Like y'all should know when somebody comes into a new job, you should. The head coach. You're not gonna wipe down the desk and the windows and clean it up in there, take the trash out? That's just nasty and tacky. Like we ain't talking about that. So
Ed need to get his ass off Instagram.
I feel what Ed was saying. He might have taken it too far in certain respects, but I 100% am the same way. There's just certain things you got to have a little couth about you. I should not have to tell you this. Do better.
On both ends, okay? But y'all let us know, okay? Y'all let us know what y'all think. Leave us a voicemail.
Was Ed wrong, y'all?
Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines. Or comment, send us a DM on Instagram and let us know. After I just told Ed to get off.
Make sure y'all's kitchen, right? Make sure y'all's kitchen is clean, y'all, and the bathrooms, because I'm checking. I'm like, Ed, we ain't talking about this. Okay, that's it for this week's Hot Takes. Coming up next, our chat with Tiana Harrison. On the show today, we have a rising superstar in Atlanta's real estate industry. She is a cast member from Ladies Who List Atlanta on OWN TV. She is currently a broker at Engel & Volkers, a mother of two beautiful kids, Audrey and Arnold.The, and she is married to retired NFL veteran and former two-time Super Bowl champ for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Arnold Harrison. Tiana Harrison, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Atoya and Tia. I am so happy to be here.
We are so happy to have you. First of all, congratulations on all your accomplishments. Broker, hello. That's a big deal.
Broker, yes, that's my most recent accomplishment in the world of real estate. So mommy and wife life is different, Yeah. But as it goes for real estate, yes, I became a broker a few months back. The market is crazy right now. So I said, hey, some of this downtime needs to be purposeful. And so I attained that.
Well, you know what? We're going to get back to that. But first, we're going to back it up a little bit.
Let's back it up.
And we're going to just talk about, I guess let's go back to college. I know you ran track in college. Shout out to the track girls.
Yeah,
Another one.
A conspiracy. Literally everybody we have had on the last, 2 months, they have ran track. And okay, are you a cougar?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, look, I'm like, Atoya, this is a conspiracy because everybody, they have been 3 years older than their husband, just like Atoya. They have run track in college. I'm like, what is going on?
But it's so funny because I don't necessarily find out until I start really kind of looking into your story and finding out, I'm like, oh my gosh, she ran track. And I get it. It's just like, oh my gosh, she's, or they say something in the interview and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a year older than my husband. I'm like, Cougars unite. So it's funny. It's just it's a running joke.
Look, you're right. Tia, I got you. I'm not. So he's a year older than me. And I also ran track. So I ran track at Tennessee State University, HBCU, shout out. And then I transferred. I had a knee injury my sophomore year, and I was kind of burnt out. So I was like, I want to go home, but I don't really want to go home because Athens is about an hour and a half away from my hometown, and decided that I was going to go to Georgia. I love the Georgia Bulldogs. My family, we're not a family that's divided by Bulldog country, okay? And so I went to Georgia, and in my second year, in my junior year, I saw my husband, and he saw me. I'm sorry. He saw me out on the track. That's the story. That's how it goes. He saw me on the track, and then he Facebooked me. He sent me a message on Facebook, and I was like, I'm good. And then he was like, well, I just was trying to say hello.
Like, hi.
I was shooting my shot.
Hi. That's it. But at that time, he had gone on to play for the Steelers. I think they were in their preseason, and he sent me, he must have been bored in camp. And so that was our initial conversation. And then 2 years later, we saw each other out.
Really?
And exchanged numbers. Yeah.
Like, now that we're in person,
right.
You can't get away from me.
Right. So no, we ended up becoming really good friends. He was in a relationship, and I was dating at the time. Had just graduated from Georgia, and we exchanged numbers. And he was like, "Hey, you remember me? We're out." I was like, "Yeah," because again, it was just that first initial interaction, and then it was like we just went on about our lives. And a couple years after that, it's like, okay, well, we crossed paths again. That must mean something. And unbeknownst to us, that was towards the end of his NFL career. And so a year later, when he was cut from the Steelers, he had gone to play for Cleveland. It was that 2010, at the end of 2010, and not realizing that was going to be the end of his career. We had started dating at that time. So a lot of transitions.
Yeah.
Oh my
Talk about that a little bit, because it's an interesting point for them, like when they realize their professional lives or their professional choice, like they have to pivot, right? But then you all were also embarking on a new relationship. So how was that interaction and that transition all together?
So for him, I would say, and he may not put it in these words, but it's just heartbreak. It's heartbreak. You've done something for so long. He had been in a failed relationship, so just not that, but then here comes football, which looks like, it's failing as well in a sense. And so there was a lot of, like focus on being there for him emotionally and understanding what it's like to be an athlete transitioning from sport. So I had gone through that in a sense, never on a professional level, but because I had been injured. He's had 2 ACL injuries, which may have contributed to, the ending of his career. And so I understood. I could relate to that in a sense. I could relate to heartbreak. I mean, a man, in my opinion, can only have heartbreak a few times, maybe 1 or 2 times in a lifetime. But women, we can bear it a little bit. And so, being in my mid-20s, I had experienced heartbreak to a degree, and so I knew how to work with him through that as friends. So we were really, really good friends, or establishing our relationship with the basis of a friendship. And so in that regard, it was easy for me to be there for him emotionally through that transition, and him figuring out what are we establishing, and then what are the next steps. We can't sit and be idle. It's time for us to move forward, and so that had its challenges.
Was it during this time for you? So you're obviously supporting him and tending to him and helping him. Was it during this time that you decided to start investing in real estate, or like how did you decide? Like, you know what?
This is what I want to try.
I want to try this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until, and I'll tell you that I supported him spiritually and emotionally, and I was there present, because being present is a major key. But as far as support, he was really there for me also. I can't say that, hey, it was just me. I held it, I held it down solely. No, he held me down as well. And so we were just working through life together. So when it came to the real estate phase, I was I was a construction analyst for a company, and during that, when 2008, 2009 hit, I had been laid off. We knew each other, but we were not dating or moving in that direction. And so when the recession hit, and then he wasn't playing, he started to think about retirement. He was like, I'm not sure what I want to do. But then he would go on interviews, and every time he would get the job. And I said, stop going on interviews if you do not want the job. He's top tier. His work ethic is top tier. So when it came to me, I was good with a 9 to 5. I was good with the stability of, going to work, coming home. But we got married, and then we had our first child, Audrey, who is 9 now. And he would take her to every doctor's appointment in that first year. And so then it was like, okay, well, at that time, I was a property manager for a luxury high-rise condo, and things would come up. Floors might flood, or somebody might do, and these are just on the drastic end, there may be some things going on that I would have to really, really be there, and I couldn't go home. And so that made me question, like, where is it made me question my priorities and being in that space. And I really I always wanted to be a mother. So I wanted to be present and be in her life. And so he was saying, at the time he was moving up in the automotive industry. Right now, he's a general manager for a Toyota dealership that's owned by a Fortune 500 company. But he's been from Lexus to Toyota, and the company, they just love him. And so he was working his way up from sales to where he is now. And his job position was a little bit more stable, whereas I had more of the flexibility and wanted to be home. So decided that, hey, I love real estate. I've always loved real estate. When I was a child, we used to randomly go into homes. You can't do that now. I would not advise that. Disclaimer. Right. And so we used to love to look at properties. I love architecture. And so I said, this is something I could do. Instagram hadn't hit yet. And so I was just really interested in the field, just as something that I knew that I could pull off or do well. And so took the test. I don't think I've ever even mentioned it, but it took me 3 or 4 times to pass that test. And I was like, Tag, what is going on? But my daughter hadn't. Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot. Well, no, I mean, but the exam is tricky, right? Like, and then you look, you like, half the shit I don't even need. But
that's most tests.
I don't use any of that stuff. Yeah. Right now in my career, I don't use anything that was on that test. And so just being diligent and moving forward and just saying, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to apply every experience that I've had to this position. Because when you go into a field like real estate, that's serious. This is one that they're the biggest investments that people make. And so I wanted to approach it like I did when I was in corporate and so look, the rest is history. I've been in the game now, for probably going on 10 years. So it's been really, really great.
How competitive is the real estate industry right now? Do you feel like it's saturated now with a lot more?
With a lot of realtors and stuff, that's what she's referring to.
Yeah, like do you feel like it's, yeah.
I you know what I do I feel it's a double-edged sword, to be honest with you, because the industry is saturated, but homes come on the market every day, and this is what I have to tell new agents. If this is the lane for you, then you'll make something of it. So what you put in is what you'll get out, and the reality is we need, as when I say we, culturally, we need to be involved in real estate, because historically that just has not been an avenue that we have really, positioned ourselves in. And so it's just like, it feels saturated, but it's not, because just as many realtors come into the field every single year, that's as many realtors who are like, I'm not able to make this work. I need to go back to my job.
Yeah.
So it feels like everybody's trying to do it. And then social media perpetuates that as well. So it's a double-edged sword.
Everybody multi-millionaire, real estate investors, everybody flipping home,
yes.
It's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone, but I definitely don't want to deter anyone from going into it, because there are so many different lanes. You can invest, you can wholesale, you can buy and hold, you can purchase land. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, okay, my mom used to say all the time, my mom and my aunt, get a teacher's license, get a teacher's license. You never know, you could end up being, so you held that in your back pocket. And I think now in today's world, it's like, get a real estate license, because you never know what you'll need. And for a lot of our fellow NFL wives, they often come to me and they're like, my husband said, or my husband thinks that it'll be good for me to get a real estate license. And the reality is it's very helpful in a lot of different scenarios when it's time to purchase homes. Or, I don't just work with these guys and their families. I work with their mothers, their sisters, their brothers, and, all of those people. So it's beneficial, when you look at it from, different spaces.
No, it's interesting you said that there are quite a few wives and stuff have licenses. I'm licensed in North Carolina, inactive. See? Let's be clear. Look, inactive.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. I was gonna say, wait, see, you got a license.
I am inactive. You know what? Honestly, I got my license just on some. Okay, let me figure out what Chapter 2 looks like. Let me just do something, right?
Yes.
And I am. Anyway, so real estate is great, but I never even had the opportunity to affiliate, because as soon as I got the license, the season started and we decided to retire in Washington instead of North Carolina. But to your point, just having the knowledge and how to move with transactions, or if you're investing in stuff, like there's a wealth of knowledge to be had, even if you aren't actively serving as an agent or a broker.
That's so true. It's so true. And you can take that wherever, you go. And I've worked outside of Georgia with other agents. And it's so imperative that if you're in this field, that you align with people who understand your situation. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to have a player who is contract to contract, or what it's like to deal with business managers and financial advisors and agents. And so oftentimes they come in and they're like, oh yeah, I want to work with these ballers, and it's like, you don't get it, because what you say, Tia?
It's like, you ain't even working with them yet. Like,
right, you're not even working with them yet. I remember I had a client early in my career, and literally I'm like godmother to their children now. I had a client early in my career. I didn't see her husband maybe for 9 months before I sold them a home. She was like the gatekeeper. Of course. So, I was going through my vetting process after us looking at 75, 100 homes. And so he came in, as the decision maker, and he's like, yes to that, no to this. We'll do this. And it's like, well, we could have been at this point
a long time ago.
Right. A long time ago. And so they don't, when new agents or wives or girlfriends do enter the field, I think that it is important to know that it is not about getting or receiving the credit, because at any point, if there is a business manager or an agent or someone involved, you need to be prepared to give that credit to them. Because they will, business managers and those advisors and whomever is over their finances, they will rip those contracts apart and and say what they want the contract to say. And then, at the end of the day, you have to be okay with that. And a lot of people just aren't.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Of that, it does. And I was just thinking, speaking of that, what's something difficult about real estate that most people don't know? They see this life and they see what you guys do, but what's something difficult that you would share with them that they may not know?
Expectations. I think that, clear, transparent, open communication is vital when it comes to working with different people, especially athletes, but it's everybody. Expectations, you have to be able to control them, because people might look at HGTV, or they might look at Selling Sunset or Selling Tampa or Ladies Who List and think that that's the way it goes. Right. And the reality is that, you just have to, if you're going to be an agent, or if you're going to oversee the transaction and the process, for your spouse or your mate, and along with your spouse and your mate, then you have to understand that, someone else's expectations are not going to be your expectations, and you need someone to represent you and in position to be able to outline the details of what you may, come up against and experience. So definitely just not having as many and aligning yourself with those who you can trust to be able to give you the ins and outs.
Yeah, that's good. Because you brought it up. So, there was a lot of backlash associated with Selling Tampa, and that it was we aren't seeing enough real estate transactions on the show. It is drama, whatever. Which I was like, if you watch the whole show, then maybe you have a different opinion. But do you feel like how you all were depicted on Ladies Who List, do you feel like this was more reflective of what you actually do?
It depends on who you ask. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Tia?
I was going to say, it's a reality show, so it's only so much you can fit in the time that is actually aired. But
that's right. So to your point, it's only so much that you can fit in the time that's aired. And when I said it depends on who you ask, because everybody has this thing about what was portrayed. And the reality is we filmed so much, but you can't fit everything within a storyline that they're trying to develop. So when it comes down to how we're depicted on television, there's already this negative thing. There's already this. So being cognizant of that when a camera gets put in your face, it's something that you need to recognize. For me, children will humble you, especially mine. Mine will be like, "Mommy, you was on there acting up, but you teach us."
They don't forget.
Mommy, you was on there. Why did you have that on? And so, it just, it depends. Mama, you said that word. That is a profane word. They will come for me. So I have to just ask God, help me be true to myself and who I am. So when it comes to the reality show and Selling Tampa or Ladies Who List, I think that a second season would have given everyone an opportunity to figure out and express themselves in a different light. I won't say better. I won't say, just express themselves in a different light, because they had the experience. We all went in, we didn't know. Do you know how difficult it is to get someone to show a home or allow us to walk through a home or do anything? And that was on the cusp of the pandemic. So to have a production crew of 15 people allow you in because they already have this thing about us and luxury or whatever, real estate. It was very challenging to even have real estate.
Yeah.
So that could have really been a foundation for selling Tampa, as well as Ladies Who List, to be able to build from there, as opposed to just completely just shut it down.
Yeah.
I mean, they let all these other shows act up.
Listen, I was so annoyed. I'm like, Selling Sunset was so much drama the first few episodes, because you had to get to know the people, and then you became invested in kind of seeing more of whatever. But I'm like, I don't understand the comparison, but neither here nor there. Can you talk a little bit about being Black in a luxury market, like being a Black agent, now a Black broker in the luxury space, and kind of like how that experience has been for you?
Absolutely. I value cultural progression. I value quality of life. I value family. And when it comes down to luxury, I really have to take a note from one of my friends and a castmate, Tiffany Hall. She says luxury, purchasing a home in itself is luxury. And when I think about it, it's the truth. It's absolutely true. And whenever you have the ability to purchase an asset or figure out a way to build wealth for your family or for the future, or just have the ability to build a legacy, then it's something that we should, appreciate and be prideful of. So when you say, and listen, I forgot the question, but I was going somewhere.
Oh, just being Black in a luxury space. Yeah. No,
so being Black in that luxury space. I mean, just being Black, a Black woman. That's having the double minority stamp placed on you it's tough, because perception is reality, and oftentimes we get on social media and everybody's luxury. So it's like, if everybody's winning, who's losing? And the reality is that's not always true. And so to actually go out, do the groundwork, and not just be about pictures that you post, and not just be about photo shoots that you have, to go out and consult and say, hey, this is what we're going to list your house for. And then that person come back to you and say, okay, I feel confident in you being able to do that job. It just does not happen as often as people think. For us to have clients who are able to purchase in the multi-million-dollar realm, it's a newer space for us. More people are starting to understand the back end of real estate, what it means to invest, even if you're investing high. And when I say investing high, you're making big purchases on investment properties to get a return back. And so to be a Black woman in the luxury space, I'm grateful for it. And whenever I see someone else who does look like me in that space, I feel like it's me. So I feel like it's a win, and all wins should be celebrated.
Did you always feel welcomed?
No, and you still don't always feel welcome. You still don't always feel welcome. I think that there are some rooms that you too have been in where it's just like, okay, I'm the Black woman who I'm here. I'm your neighbor because you think that this money is still coming along from football. Look, I'm in the room because you want to, label me as the football wife, and it's like, it's been forever since that phase, but it's all good, so it's just like, there's always, it's okay because they're former, or he's the 2-time Super Bowl, champion. And so in the space of real estate, Yeah, that's a tough one. I am in a very diverse office, which I love. And so my whole thing is it doesn't just have to be Black owned. I encourage Black owned, supporting Black owned businesses, but it doesn't just have to be. I think that at some point we got to figure out a way to work together. And so I try to do that with agents who look like and don't look like me, because it's not about that solely.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think about all that you've done, and I remember you talking about on social media the load becoming too heavy, meaning, giving your all to your career as a wife, as a mother, and there was these moments where you had to kind of reassess. Talk about that a little bit.
So when I first came into real estate, it's tough because I was having children I felt like I was having children my first few years, but I only have 2 children. So
like, damn,
I felt like I was like, where are these kids coming from? They just keep coming. But so it was so tough. I would literally be holding a bottle and a baby in one hand and trying to answer the questions of a client in the other hand. And that's overwhelming. And then when you look at your husband, who is just a worker. He's just a worker. He's always worked on the field, off the field. And now he's in this phase of just working. Being in the automotive industry, it's no small feat. So he works 70 hours a week. So baby, bottle, client, and then he's over there. So it's like you can't say you're tired because he's working too, and then you're over. You can get overwhelmed. And I got to a point where I just had to really just pray and meditate on what was important to me. I highly believe in quality of life. And so my children and my husband are primary. They are the core to my business. They motivate me in ways to go out there and keep going, And so when it came down to priorities, I had one of my real estate partner say to me the other day, "Oh, Tiana, you need to sell 50 houses a year." I had to stop her. Like, wait, no, I'm not selling 50 houses a year, because you don't understand the cost that comes with Tiana selling 50,000 a year. I'm okay making 6 figures. The minimum of 6 figures is possible. That's what I told myself when I came into the industry. Yeah. And although that has progressed and God has blessed me, I'm okay with my level of work. Of course, it can always be improved upon, but me going out to sell 50 homes a year means that I can't go to the soccer game. Right. It means that I can't be home when my husband gets home. That's important to me. I always want to be home when my husband gets home. Now, there may not be dinner on the table, but I'm gonna be home.
You can't win it all. You can't win it all.
Right. I'm like, listen.
I'm here though. I'm here. I am here.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good. Because those things were important to me. So prioritizing at the beginning of my career and telling my clients or potential clients, hey, I have small children. If you call me and I don't answer, I'll get back to you. You can text me at any time. I don't even care what time of night it is. But when I see it, I promise I'll respond and get back to you. So that clear and open communication exists for your expectations. Now, if they don't understand that you have small children or they don't understand that you value your husband, then guess what? You just not for me.
For you.
Yeah.
You're just not for, and I'm okay because God is going to keep doing what he does. Yeah. And so that is part of, my foundation and my success is saying, let's prioritize what's important to me. The money is not important. My husband told me I'm going to worry about the money. Okay, that's fine. Now, there are a lot of women who are like, I got to have my own. Yeah, my husband knows, and he's supportive of the fact that I have my own. But he said, I'm going to worry about the money. So when I do a deal, I don't sit there and count my coins. Yeah, and that's part of the reason that a lot of people are like, maybe you need some different motivation. No, that's just not me. There's there's not one blueprint for success, especially in the real estate game. And oftentimes people think that they can go to this online seminar or go to this influencer or that influencer. And the reality is our lives, Atoya, Tia, Tiana, we understand differently because of the things that our husbands are doing now and the things that the work that they have put in prior. So our dynamics are different. I can't explain to you why it's important for me to be present.
Yeah.
Or why it's important for me to show up. Mm-hmm.
That you know that it works for you, it works for your family. And that's, to your point, there is no blueprint. You just do what works for your family. It's so true.
You do what works for you. You do what's important to you. And I have a great support system. That's another thing that really is pivotal.
That's what I was about to ask you how you've been managing.
Oh my goodness, I have the best support system alive. So I call them my power players. So I have professional power players and then I have personal power players. Now, my mother-in-law, that's my closest power player when it comes to personal. She lives about 15 minutes away from me. She's going to pick the kids up this afternoon and I'm good because she is my girl. My parents, my sisters, my brothers, just my friends, their godparents. I utilize my resources. So utilizing your resources, there is nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And that's just called collaboration when it comes to the professional form. So collaborating is key. Atoya, what were you going to say?
It's funny you say that because it's so true. You think about, your people, like your people help you keep going. You collaborate with them, you figure it out and you keep going. And and it's important to not realize that you don't have to wear the cape. You can just give that to someone else. And there's other people in this world that can bless your kids. But there's something else that I was thinking about when you talk about collaborating, because I remember you talking about this too. You were talking about how people say things like, oh, well, you started or you got your start in real estate because of your husband. And I remember you talking about this. Talk about your response because it was so good.
I'm trying to think. Look, I got a different response every time, but it's still along the same lines. So, the thing about that is people will often, if your husband played a year or if he played 25 years, they're going to say that your success is due to him. And my whole thing is, guess what? I'm knocking on 40. Guess what? You're right. You're absolutely right, because we have been working towards this thing together. I didn't see nobody else at our door when we were trying to figure out how we were going to make this work. I didn't see, and that's okay, because my husband, he invested in my business. My husband, he supports my business. I've seen him out there putting up signs. I've seen him tell his clients about me. I've seen him at functions and events that he didn't have to be at. So when it comes down to my husband, that I just think that that's an easy poke or thing to say.
But let's remember,
people only do that. I feel like to Black women. Because the truth of the matter is, and even outside of husband and wife situation, nepotism happens, and there's this huge negative cloud around oh yeah, my uncle got me the job, or my dad,
that's right,
it's my dad company and my dad brought me and gave me the experience and stuff like that. I don't see anything wrong with that, right?
No.
So even when we look at our husbands and stuff, I am successful or I'm in the room because I'm supposed to be here,
right?
Period. But if I got the invite because your husband or your whoever company manager, whatever, is a Seahawk fan, I don't give a damn. I'm going into the room, right? We are supposed to use our network and use our resources to continue pushing forward. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And let's be clear,
nothing wrong with that.
A lot of the reasons that they are who they are is because of us as well. It works both ways.
That's right. So we let's not ever forget that, because that's the truth. And I think that any of them, with a keen sense of self, knows that, hey, yeah, I'm going to definitely back that statement. And I absolutely think that it's a team effort. I think that their language, our husband's language, is team. And that's how I went into my relationship. That's the language that he needed a teammate. He needed a teammate when things were up and things were down. He told me he didn't just need someone who was there. And unfortunately, we understand that sometimes when it gets really rough, situations don't work out, especially in the not for long league. And so for a lot of relationships, they don't work out, but the pendulum swings both ways. If there's good, there's bad, and you got to be willing and ready to stick it out.
Okay, I'm going to transition to the playbook portion of our conversation. So our theme for the year is the playbook, the route to becoming you, right? So we talk to women who are in like chapter 2 of their lives, and they're just trying to figure it out. Some people haven't figured it out, some people don't. But when you think back to like where you were at 21, 22 years old, are you where you thought you would be? Just in terms of like where you are with real estate, is this what you thought you would be doing at this point in your life?
I am absolutely not where I thought I would be. I think God has blessed me tremendously. I didn't recognize it before I did the show that I had so many insecurities, and just doing that show, one of the positives was that I realized that I could let me just be me, let me not think about doing it right, or let me not think about what somebody's going to say, or how this is going to make so-and-so look. And so when I think back at 21 or 22, coming out of college, I couldn't have dreamed up my husband. I couldn't have prayed up my husband. I couldn't have dreamed about how healthy and amazing my children are. I couldn't have thought about living in in an equestrian community. No. Look,
no.
It's just,
I don't even think I knew there was equestrian communities.
right. It's just like, wait, what? Like, what? Where am I? So, I just wouldn't have thought about those things. So what I try to do, especially with my children, is implore to them and remind them of the importance of, family, education, and standing on God's word, because there are children who don't get to see tree-lined streets every day like you do. It's not, for me and my husband growing up in predominantly Black communities, they don't, this is not normal, and they'll normalize things. And we try to teach them how to, that, hey, you just have to appreciate it. It is your life. It is normal to you, but there's value in appreciating those things. So
it's good. I was thinking about something you said before. One of our questions in the playbook was, what's a thought or a belief that kept you going when you had to pivot during moments, and you kind of talked about that a little bit, when and you and your husband had to sit down and figure it out. In that process of figuring it out, what did you decide in those moments that you wanted to do?
I know that God never told me to leave. And there were some times where I really, really felt like, what are you doing, Lord? Is this man for real? Because my husband, he was a linebacker. So he's, they a little, but we're not going to go there. So it was like, and so I was like, okay, you sure? And so God never responded, so I was like, so I held on to God's unchanging hand, ladies. And
I don't know what I thought you were gonna say, but not that. Okay.
I'm not. Listen, I can't throw them under the bus. But
no. I mean, but we have marriages too, so we know exactly what you were saying.
So yes, so they're used to certain things, and they're spoiled in ways that they don't know that they're spoiled in, and then it's like things to change drastically, you got to be ready as a wife or a girlfriend or whomever. And so, I just held on to the fact that God had him, because it felt like God wasn't answering my prayers. So I must have been praying wrong or needed to pray stronger. And so I just relied on the fact that God is God. And obviously he is in control of this thing. And he's shown himself to be true. And you just hold on. And one of the most valuable things that someone ever said to me at a Women of the NFL conferences, it was at a conference. There was a speaker, and he said, you have to lead with grace. Lead with grace. And a lot of times we want to lead, especially when they're in those weakened positions, or when they're vulnerable, or when everybody is on their back, or when everybody depends on them. And so when we want to lead, and I was raised by a host of dominant women who have these dominant personalities. And so I sometimes want to, but that's not the order. We're not supposed to be leading. We got to let that black man lead. And because it's his birthright, it's divine order. And so allowing him to lead, and then saying it's okay, because even when you have your first child and you're like, well, you know, women can be a little bit, mothers can be timid to do that, but let him do what your fathers are supposed to do. Learn. We can't teach them. We can't give them all the instructions. We can't nag. We can't give as much instructions as they say they don't want, but need. We can't always do that, you know? And so leading with grace is one of the biggest things. Let me be graceful.
That's good.
Let me be graceful, because he needs that too.
That's a great word. It's a great word.
Okay, so you want to play a quick game?
Yes. So, okay, we're going to move into, it's our game called the 2-minute drill. And it's basically going to be this, that, or the other. So I'll give you a this or that where you choose one, or it'll be the other where you fill in the blank. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. I'll start you off easy. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Entree or dessert?
Entree.
Best concert you've ever attended?
J. Cole.
Really?
Yes. It was so good. It was like going to church. I can't even remember what album it was.
I know like which one the album about.
With the neighbors think I'm selling dope or something like that. It was that
he's
one.
talking about himself.
So good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was good.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Okay. Your favorite reality TV show besides your own?
Besides my own, I don't watch reality TV. Let me think.
Okay, well, favorite TV show.
Favorite TV show. Game of Thrones was good. I'm trying to think. I'll go with Game of Thrones.
Was solid.
Game of Thrones. Okay.
It was good. I didn't like the end, but it was good. I didn't like the finale.
Agreed.
It was good.
Work from home or work in the office?
Work from home.
Okay, would you rather only manage property or only list homes?
Only list homes.
What's the most beautiful place you've ever seen?
Most beautiful place I've ever seen.
Or what has been like your favorite vacation?
Favorite
vacation. Zadoon. There's a Zadoon Ritz-Carlton in Cabo. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Ooh. Zadoon. Let me write that down.
I haven't checked them out. Right. I was like, okay.
Zadoon.
Cabo for winter break. Nice. Okay, last question. What is next for Tiana?
Listen, and you know what? This question has, I answered this question for my husband. I've received this question at different times throughout this 2022 year, considering the show aired January 2022. But what's next for Tiana is whatever God has for me. And I know that is a very basic general answer, but I want to be in position for whatever God has for me, which is why I have my broker's license, I have been in the game, like I said, going on 10 years, but really over 10 years, because I've been in different areas of real estate. And so whatever God has for me, I just want to be ready.
That's good.
Oh, that's right.
I like that. That's right. And sometimes that's all it is, just being prepared. The doors will open.
I just want to be ready. I want to be ready spiritually, physically, because, we still got to be, we got to be badass wives. We got to stay, on our A game. We got to get in the gym. And I haven't been in a while. And so just spiritually, I want to make sure that I'm in my word and physically present for my family and for my clients.
That's good.
I love it.
Okay, so I know you've inspired a lot of people. So if they want to get a hold of you, where do they reach you?
You know what? My information is online, but you can reach me at Tiana. What is my Instagram?
What's your IG?
Tiana Harrison. Right. What's my Instagram, guys? I don't know. I'll give you my email first, and then I'll give you my Instagram. It's tiana.harrison@evatlanta.com. And my Instagram handle is Tiana Harrison _Lux Partners.
There you go.
Yes, I was trying to pull it up. I'm like, okay. But I'll be sure to put links to all of it in the show notes.
Okay, very good. This was fun. Look, I could talk to you ladies all day.
I know. You're so inspiring. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the gems. So thanks for sharing with us.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, ladies.
That was such a great conversation with Tiana. She did such a great job just like explaining who she is authentically outside of her career, and then just talking about real estate and how it really is in the world, because people don't know. It's not what you see on TV at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad that we touched on like people making comments about like who should be in the room or who should not in terms of like your husband. Or like, are you only here because you're, and so what? Okay, use your network. Okay, this is what everybody wants you to do. Use your resources and your network to move forward. Right.
Real talk. I say it all the time. My husband wouldn't be who he is if it wasn't for me. So here we are. Here we are. It's a team effort, y'all. It's a team effort. All right. Well, that's the show for the latest on the Inside Lines podcast. Make sure to follow us on Inside Lines podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And make sure you check out our YouTube channel at Inside Lines Podcast. Yes, YouTube has a handle, and that is ours. And also check out our website, www.insidelinespodcast.com.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.